Power rarely collapses in dramatic moments. Empires erode quietly, through tolerance, hesitation, and small compromises that seem harmless but slowly weaken the structure. The most dangerous leadership failures are not written in laws or speeches. They are invisible rules that govern trust, authority, and survival. Machiavelli understood this clearly. He saw power not as a moral ideal, but as a living system that must be actively protected. Leadership fails not from cruelty, but from blindness, from what a ruler allows. The 7 behaviors that follow are silent poisons, subtle, often ignored, and fatal when tolerated. Number 7. Betrayal during crisis. Loyalty is not proven during success. It is revealed during danger. When conditions are stable, alliances are cheap. Anyone can appear committed when there is no cost attached. True allegiance emerges only when pressure arrives, when resources vanish, when reputation falters, when risk becomes real. The most revealing moment in leadership is not triumph, but vulnerability. Those who disappear when stability breaks are not neutral. They have made a decision. Silence during crisis is not confusion. It is abandonment. A leader who forgives this kind of betrayal sends a fatal message: loyalty is optional. Once that rule is established, devotion becomes transactional. Followers no longer stand with the leader, they evaluate him. Support becomes conditional on momentum, not respect. Power cannot survive in an environment where allegiance fluctuates with fortune. Once abandonment is tolerated, authority transforms into a temporary position rather than a fixed reality. Leaders who ignore this lesson find themselves surrounded not by allies, but by observers waiting for collapse. Number 6. Cowardice disguised as caution. There is nothing more corrosive to authority than hesitation at the top. Cowardice in leadership rarely announces itself as fear. It hides behind the language of caution, consultation, and restraint. It presents itself as wisdom, as moral depth, as the need for more information or broader consensus. But when decisive action is required, delay becomes damage. Systems do not collapse because decisions are difficult. They collapse because no one is willing to make them. When a leader pauses endlessly, direction disappears. Responsibility leaks downward, uncertainty spreads horizontally, and trust erodes vertically through every layer of the organization. People are not afraid of hard choices. They are afraid of leaders who cannot choose. Leadership does not demand certainty. It demands movement under uncertainty. Every functioning system depends on the belief that someone is willing to act first, to accept risk, and to bear consequence. The moment followers sense that their leader is waiting to be safe, authority begins to evaporate. Orders turn tentative. Confidence dissolves. Individuals begin planning for themselves rather than for the collective. Those who fear making the wrong decision often convince themselves that inaction is neutral. It is not. Inaction is a decision, and it is usually the most damaging one. More organizations are destroyed by leaders who hesitate than by enemies who attack, because internal paralysis invites collapse long before any external force is required. Number 5. Flattery masquerading as loyalty. Enemies keep leaders alert. Flatterers make them blind. There is a specific danger in surrounding oneself with constant agreement. Praise feels like support, but it slowly replaces truth with illusion. Those who never challenge authority are not loyal, they are positioning themselves. Flattery does not destroy leaders immediately. It erodes judgment over time. It isolates the leader from honest feedback and replaces reality with echo chambers. Eventually, warnings vanish. Corrections stop, and when collapse arrives, the flatterers disappear with the same speed they once applauded. True loyalty is uncomfortable. It confronts, it resists, It speaks when silence would be safer. A leader who cannot tolerate dissent will eventually be ruled by deception. Number 4. Public defiance of authority. Power survives because people believe it cannot be casually challenged. The moment that belief is publicly fractured, authority begins to decay far beyond the original act of defiance. Private disagreement can be useful. It allows correction without destabilizing the hierarchy. Public defiance, however, does something far more dangerous. It reframes leadership as optional. An open challenge does not merely question a single decision, it signals to everyone watching that the leader's position itself is negotiable. When such challenges are ignored, they establish precedent. Each unanswered act of defiance quietly lowers the cost of the next one. Obedience slowly transforms into commentary. Orders turn into suggestions. Leadership becomes a performance instead of command. Symbolic strength is not about cruelty or ego, it is about containment. Authority must be seen responding to protect the structure that gives it meaning. A leader who tolerates public erosion in the name of appearing calm or tolerant is not preserving power. He is teaching others that power no longer needs to be respected. And once that lesson spreads, authority does not recover, it dissolves. Number 3. Ingratitude after mercy. Mercy is not weakness, but it is dangerous when given without discernment. Kindness extended to the wrong person does not create loyalty, it creates leverage. Ingratitude is not the absence of appreciation, it is the presence of entitlement. Those who receive support without character do not feel bonded to the giver. They feel owed. Over time, they begin to rewrite the story, convincing themselves that what they received was deserved rather than granted. When circumstances shift, they rationalize betrayal as survival, not treachery. The most dangerous adversaries are often those who were once elevated, protected, or forgiven. They understand internal dynamics. They know vulnerabilities, and they feel justified in turning against the hand that raised them, because mercy without consequence taught them that loyalty is optional. Mercy must create allegiance, not dependency. When gratitude does not follow, mercy must end. Leaders who repeatedly reward ingratitude do more than lose resources. They destroy the moral structure of authority. They teach everyone watching that betrayal carries no cost and that loyalty is inferior to opportunism. Number 2. Ambition without loyalty. Ambition is essential to growth, but when detached from loyalty, it becomes a latent threat. Individuals driven solely by self-advancement do not serve systems. They study them. They perform exceptionally, avoid firm positions, and remain strategically neutral in moments of conflict. Their allegiance is difficult to locate because it does not exist. They rarely confront power directly. Instead, they observe, collect information, and wait for instability. When authority weakens, they do not appear as challengers, but as solutions. They frame themselves as reasonable alternatives rather than rebels. This makes them especially dangerous. A leader faced with such ambition has only two viable options: bind it tightly to shared fate or prevent it from rising unchecked. Talent without loyalty is not an asset, it is an investment in one's own replacement. No matter how skilled, a person who would not stand with you in decline is not a supporter. He is a future claimant, quietly preparing to inherit your position. Number 1. Weaponized morality. One of the most effective methods of seizing power is not force, but moral performance. When virtue is displayed publicly, it often conceals ambition rather than integrity. Those who attack authority under ethical banners rarely seek reform, they seek position. Moral accusations shift the battlefield from competence and order to emotion and perception. Authority is forced to explain rather than command. This creates a trap with no clean escape. Defending oneself appears oppressive. Remaining silent appears guilty. The objective is not truth, but doubt. Once doubt spreads, authority weakens regardless of facts. True ethics operate quietly. They advise privately. They correct without spectacle. Public moral theater is not integrity, it is strategy. It relies on audiences, outrage, and emotional pressure to replace structural power with performative judgment. Leaders who allow morality to be weaponized against them surrender control to sentiment, and once emotional approval replaces authority, leadership becomes unstable, temporary, and easily replaceable by anyone skilled enough to perform virtue more convincingly. If this video made you see power, loyalty, and leadership differently, then you already understand why most people never make it to the top. These truths are uncomfortable because they force clarity, not comfort. If you want to keep learning how power really works and how to protect what you build, like and subscribe, because we'll keep exposing what others are too afraid to say.